So here we are, it's August 14th, 2020, and we're connecting.
Yeah.
It's 8 o'clock in the morning here in Fort Worth, Texas, USA. What time is it there where you are?
In London, it is 2 p.m.
So you were talking about Yiddish, you're learning Yiddish, we're talking about early memories.
Yeah. Well, I guess I'm thinking about, with archive, I guess I think about voices. Like, because I don't know, I guess I was thinking a bit about the idea of like, oh, does archive like give work more authenticity? Is that what some people maybe would think? And I think for me, it's not really about that. It's more about having other people's voices in the work or something, like in a direct way that would be different than if I were just transmitting them.
Yeah.
Although there's still some of that. But yeah, I've been learning Yiddish for the last year, and my dad's parents were native Yiddish speakers. So there's still my baba in my family who I can speak Yiddish with, and that's been really special. And I think there's going to be more and more Yiddish in my work. I don't quite know yet, but yeah.
I'm hearing voices, shared languages, which makes me think of languages that aren't shared. I'm thinking, I heard early memories, right? Like languages that aren't shared could be connected to other people's voices as it pertains to archives. And I'm also thinking about, right, like other people's voices. You know, I know that I actually don't know. I just know based on what I know about you. What I think I know about you based on what I see about you is that you're committed to anti-racism work. And like, I wonder how other people's voices, what that means for you as an anti-racist organizer. And my own voice as a Black person as part of this conversation.
Yeah. Great question. Yeah. I was just thinking about what that means in a Jewish context as well, you know, like whose voices get to speak Jewish languages, or whose voices do we think about in terms of like speakers of Jewish languages.
Yeah, because it's like when I speak Hebrew, people are like, people, mainly European heritage Jewish people, are like, how do you know Hebrew? Even if they know I'm Jewish, right? It's like,
yeah,
that I'm not. It's perplexing, and perhaps I'm not allowed.
Yeah. Yeah. And I do know, I mean, also like white non-Jewish friends I have, I think they also have ignorant, I think they associate Jews with Ashkenazim.
For sure. And when like white non-Jews use Yiddish and mispronounce it, what are my emotions around it? My emotions are a little bit like, aw, like, thanks for trying. But also like that, how dare you? It's like
I get to
only
we get to mispronounce.
Of adoration and disgust.
Yeah.
Like, you know, even schlep, you know, it's like, I've heard so many different iterations of that word that it's really so interesting.
Yeah. I've had a thought.
I'm listening.
Which is that we could read something in Yiddish together or listen to a song.
Love that.
Yeah.
I have a couple of Yiddish songs that I know.
Ah,
Can I sing some?
yeah.
Okay. This one is called A Yiddish Mädel, Darf a Yiddischen Boy. Do you know this song?
No, but I know what it means.
What does that mean?
I think it means a Jewish girl needs a Jewish boy.
Yeah. And I've kind of reclaimed the song. Aaron Lebedev was an amazing Yiddish singer and performer in, of course, Lower East Side of New York City. And I've changed the title to A Yiddish Fagel, Darf a Yiddischen Boy.
That's
And
great.
what does that mean? Can you?
Oh, well, this there's a slang word in Yiddish for a cis gay man, which is fagel or a fagele, which means a fagel is a bird, and a fagele you could translate in English as a birdie, a little bird. So that's a wonderful reclamation.
Thank you. And the song goes a little something like this. Let me just wet my whistle. I'll also say this in terms of archives. My grandfather was a singer. His name was Velvel, and I'm 43. When he was 44, he killed himself. And, thinking about archives and where they live, and thinking about my body as an archive, and thinking about as a receptacle for the archive, and thinking about his body and my body, I offer this song in the style of Velvel Schachter, Zichron Livracha. I sing to you a Yiddish Fagel, Darf a Yiddischen Boy. And I hope I don't wake up my husband. A Yiddish Fagel, Darf a Yiddischen Boy. Sie's Sheyna Nadel, in em darf sein Zoi. Wo sollte sich zuire sehen in allein bleite krechen a Yiddish Fegel, darf a Yiddischen Boy. Oy, si samechaye, oy, sis ein antik. Farai Welt nahe in Verein Zaglik a Yiddish Fegel darf a Yiddischen Boy Sie Sheyna Nadel in em darf sein azoi wo sollte sich zoide zechen in a bleinen bleite krechen a Yiddish Fegel darf a Yiddischen Boy. Thanks for listening.
Wunderbar.
Danke.
Yeah, that's great.
Thanks.
Wonderful. I was just thinking about this, sort of US-born Yiddish singer and musician named Daniel Kahn, who lives in Berlin. And yeah, he has a lot of songs on YouTube under like Daniel Kahn and the Painted Bird. And he works with a lot of kind of radical or revolutionary Yiddish music, sometimes like adapting them or rearranging them, sometimes translating them to English. Yeah. And I guess similarly, it's making me think about what it is to be something like a Jew in Germany now, making music in Yiddish, performing in Yiddish, like just putting yourself, your body, your voice in that space and bringing that back, and you doing that with your grandfather. Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome. I wonder if you might consider, like, I don't know, sharing, whatever that looks like yeah, whatever that means for you.
Yeah. Well, I was just going to say I have a little like Yiddish record here that I could bring and just show you the cover because it's quite sweet. And then I have a simple Yiddish song that I could sing as well.
Cool.
I'm going to get it.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yiddish. Yiddish love songs.
Yeah. So the story with this is that I was in Rotterdam around Christmaka time last year. My partner is Dutch. And yeah, we went into a record shop and there was just this box of records that was marked like Israeli or something. And I was like, I'm going to look at this. It was some Israeli music, but I think they also meant Jewish music because this record was here. And it's obviously written with partially Yiddish Hebrew script, but it's manufactured in Holland.
Whoa.
So I saw this and I was like, oh yeah, I'm getting this. And yeah, I mean, I don't think I'd really known any of these songs, but every so often I'll put it on and it's really fun. And what's also cool is that it's transliterated into like Dutch. It's a bit different compared to if it were transliterated to English. So it's like the first song is Oifen Oiven sitzt am Mädel. A young girl sits by the fire. The second song is Rezele. The third song is Rivkele die Shabbosdike. Rivkele, the Sabbath woman. What's another one? Die Verbe, the poplar. Unter a kleine Bämele.
Under a
Under a little
small
tree.
tree.
Yeah. Lomir beide a Liebe spielen. Oh, interesting. They translate it as let us love each other. Let's both play a love.
Mm.
That's how I would, yeah, the literal translation maybe. Oh my gosh, there's one called Hey Ziegelech, which means goats.
Let's play that one.
Should I play it?
Yeah. Ugh, goats.
Side 2, track number 3. Okay.
And you know, side 2 are always the good ones.
Can you hear it?
Good stuff. I'm sorry for that little sound interlude there. I was trying to do some research on the singer, and of course, she doesn't come up. I couldn't find anything about her,
Oh my gosh.
which is
Well,
interesting. You know, like I'm thinking about Yiddish and nostalgia and longing, right? That song was like, just like my whole heart was outside my body. And the mitzvah of remembering.
Hmm.
and the mitzvah, and does that mean longing for, um, and like, you know, nostalgia for the old country? Really, that song just made me think about,
Hmm.
you know, the home that I don't have
Yeah.
anymore.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. And also maybe like the home that sits within language
Mm,
and within culture. Like we've lost geographical places and we still have work like this, you know? Yeah. I guess that's one of the reasons I've been learning Yiddish is feeling that this isn't something we have to lose necessarily, you know, not that everyone has to learn it who has Ashkenazi heritage, but it's still there. There's like this whole world that reopens for me. Like the more I learn, the more I can understand. Um, yeah, and maybe like breaking up the hegemony of English a little bit as well.
totally.
Um, yeah.
When I said I couldn't find her, I found the album of Anne
Ah,
Mine, but there's nothing about her as like a person.
yeah. I wonder if maybe there could be in French or in Dutch.
Hmm.
So, should I read you the description of the song we listened to?
Please, I would love that.
Yeah. Apparently, by the way, there is like a trope of goats in Yiddish songs.
Mm,
Teachers told me that. So, this is maybe the second or third poem or song that I've come across that's about goats.
beautiful.
So, yeah. And Sigalech, I think, also means little goats. Yeah. So it says, listen to the song of the shepherd. A girl threw a spell over him. The melancholy shepherd does not think of his flock of sheep anymore. In the river lays the shepherd, and by the water cries the girl.
That's it. That's that.
Yeah, yeah,
So sad.
yeah. I also find it a bit confusing.
I can't quite tell what's going on. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, why did she cast a spell?
She must have known him. What's their relationship?
Yep. In the river lays the shepherd. Is he still alive?
I'm assuming not.
Uh-huh.
I mean,
Right.
the song was so, there was so much sadness there.
Yeah. And the girl cries by the water. Anytime I see stuff around females and spells, I get suspicious. Like, what is the accusation here?
Totally. Agreed. Sexism is real. It's a real
Yeah.
thing. Hmm. I wonder how, so thanks for sharing that. So special. I wonder how we might want to close the conversation
Yeah.
today. Like, mm, maybe that early memory piece around a voice, like a voice
Mm.
that you remember, or any other early memory that you want to offer. I think the early memory I'd like to offer is that my, um, I don't know that it was soon after, maybe like 2 years after my grandfather died, my grandmother married another man named William. And he was my grandpa. And I remember he had a big, beautiful Yiddish belly. And I remember I was young, 3 or something. And I remember falling asleep on his belly and um, the breath of his belly just kind of summoning me to sleep. And the voice of his breath um, was so intoxicating and so right that I still feel it. I still feel him, and I think that's that sense of breath to relax is part of my archive, part of what I use in my work, in my life, in my days.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Nice. I think the memory I'm having also has to do with a grandparent, with my Baba, who's, I guess, the last living native Yiddish speaker in my family. And well, it's a memory that's been told to me. She told it to me when I was growing up, that when I was really young, like 1 or 2, where I was still being carried places, that when my parents would bring me to my Baba and Zeta's house, when they came in and she saw me, she would say to me, "Sheyna Kop!" It became a thing. And she said, it got to the point where if we came in and I didn't hear it, I would just be looking at her, waiting for it.
That.
Yeah.
I love that.
And the most recent time that we spoke, it was like on FaceTime with my uncle's phone, because she has Alzheimer's now and she's living at home with him and a caregiver, but like she can't operate like video technology. So we were speaking that way. We were speaking in Yiddish a little bit. And at some point I said to her, "Sheyna Kop." And she laughed. Yeah. And I don't know if she remembers that, or if someone said it to her or what it was, but yeah, it was really lovely to be able to say it back to her. So it feels a bit of a restoration for me, like restoring something in my family and my lineage that almost has gotten lost through assimilation and anti-Semitism, but hasn't.
Yeah, and that's, we're talking about language, and that feels like the restoration of language feels so important and right.